Today, I want to speak to you about the people factor in your business and how to get the best people to work with you in your business. Now, let's face it, you can't grow a successful business without people. And if you don't have the right people to help you, what's going to happen is that your very best ideas, no matter how great they are, they just don't come to life, or they don't grow past your personal capacity. The first thing is this: be intentional about your brand identity. And it's great that when people interface with your business, they have a nice feel. But what you want to do, because the best candidates are looking for that kind of a thing, is to have established your company as a great place to work. When you're marketing your company beyond the brand and the technical aspects of it, try to market that experience from your employee perspective. Focus on your company culture, building a culture where clearly employees are allowed to learn, to lead, and to thrive. Prospective employees also get a sense of that when they come into your environment and they see other very vibrant and engaged employees all across the company premises. Let your values shine through, not just your promotional items, but indeed in the way that your culture is and how your people internalize that. The second thing I want to share is this: be highly strategic about your recruitment. The general principle is this: hire slowly. If you're a business owner, hiring is actually one of the most difficult tasks that we face in today's world. Your experience in this area, I'm sure, is no different from mine. So you have to be intentional and strategic about it. And that means investing in that hiring process and then making sure that you're very patient with the process. I have had several key roles in my organization that took me a year to get the right person. Don't be in a hurry just to fill the gaps. When you hire in a hurry, the pains are never quite worth that process of making sure you tick the box of having hired someone into a specific role. Now, what this means also is that as part of your recruitment, you want to be sure that you have a very thorough vetting process. So you're looking not just at competencies and capabilities, you're looking at things like attitude, you're looking at commitment, and you're looking at the headroom, making sure that the people you bring on board are people that have a clear capacity to grow into other roles. Because for business owners, when we're recruiting strategically, we want to make sure we're thinking succession pipeline, and the best of employees also wants to come into an organization and have a sense that they can see a clear trajectory within your organization for themselves. Another thing is this: for recruitment still, make sure your roles are scoped very carefully. Make sure that the expectations for each role and the interfaces and relationships with other roles and the broad company, that they're very clearly defined, and that there is a culture fit between the people you bring into those roles and the roles demands themselves. Now, when we're talking about recruitment, and this is the last thing I'll say, is this: when you're interviewing for the very best people, please be a bit more creative. Get away from those very basic interview questions like, tell us about your experience, your strengths and your weaknesses. It's almost now like everybody comes scripted and prepared to answer the questions. Throw some unexpecteds at your people. So one of the things I do in interviews, for instance, is to say, without saying anything about anything on your CV, I want you to tell me about yourself, who you are, how you become who you are, and what your broad outlook on life is. I can't tell you how many people completely stutter because they've never quite sat down to think through who they are and where they're going in and of themselves. Think about questions like, if you were an animal, what kind of animal would you be and why? Think about questions like, what is the biggest misconception that people have about you and why do you think that is? And perhaps what steps have you taken to try to address it? Ask questions like, when you think about your mother, or if they have teenage children, for instance, when you think about your children, what are the greatest qualities about them that you admire and why? And how do you see any kind of alignment or misalignment between those qualities in them and yourself? And why do you think that has come to be? Like, just take them away from the standard, I went to school here, I worked there, and so on and so forth. You want to get a sense of who the person is, and that way you see how much better they fit into where you are and where you have potential to go working alongside them as one of your employees in the future. The other thing I want to say is this: build internal ambassadors. Understand that what makes your current employees work and what makes them thrive and consider you to be a great company is also the same winning formula that will attract the new employees and make them to stay. So you want to turn your employees into ambassadors of your brand. So as they speak to other people outside of your company, what they're doing is selling your brand to them, and word gets around and you become known as one of the preferred places to work. Of course, we can't have this conversation about bringing the best people to work in your business without discussing compensation. Compensation is key, so you want to make sure that you're paying well. And one of the ways to go through that is to ensure that you do peer surveys and benchmarks. Find out what your competitors are doing and see how far and how closely you can meet that mark. Of course, you want to think about sustainability of your cash flows. So if you can't do that, what the competitors are doing, that is, you have to be able to think of other unique ways to keep your people engaged, even if they're not being paid as well as competition. Now, speaking about compensation, one of the things I want to encourage entrepreneurs is this: don't be afraid to hire critical resources and pay them more than yourself. I've done this twice now, in the early 90s and again very recently, where I've hired people that had specific skills that I needed to up-level my business, and I put them on a higher salary than myself. It was about the business being able to take on more aggressively, more robust opportunities, and then, get to a point where ultimately our revenues neutralize that situation and we're able to put everybody back on the right platform. So don't be afraid to do those kind of constructs to get the right kind of people, and they value you and you get long-term service out of such things. Lastly, I want to say this: that yes, compensation matters, but people are human beings first. So really, in getting the best people to work with you, it also goes a bit beyond compensation. It's not just about the paycheck at the end of the month. Can you institute profit shares so that people recognize that they're literally working for themselves and there's an end benefit from them? Can you put in place employee stock options if that's an option in your organization? Can you allow for flexible working? COVID has shown us so far that people don't have to be stuck in the office. Can you make sure that you incorporate TGIFs, family days, and just kind of look for things that will build a strong sense of value, that your employees know that they are valued, and in turn, this translates into a stronger sense of ownership. Think about it like you're in an ongoing contest for the Best Place to Work award, because quite frankly, to get the best people in your business, that's an award you're practically running after on a day-to-day basis. The happier and more engaged your existing people are, the easier it is for you to draw in the kinds of skills and competencies you need. And I promise you that stability that comes from connected, quality people working for you is not just good for your business, it's really great for your peace of mind. I hope these have been useful to you. And if you're having challenges getting good people to work in your business, if you've done all these things I've said and you're still having some, constraints around that, drop me a line, drop me a question or comment. I'll be happy to get back to you. Take care.